Hey guys, it's Tiffany. I'm back with more Meet the Trainers. I apologize if I sound a little bit stuffy, trying to kick a head cold here, but Cecil and I will not let that stay in our way. We're going to thunder forth, and I appreciate your patience, Cecil, while I dragged myself around to try to get to this camera for our meeting today. So, for those who have not trained with you before, Cecil, please introduce yourself and tell everybody in the TacCon family why we love you so much.
Because I'm way nicer than Larry and Craig. That's why everybody loves me. I'm I'm the pleasant face of the collective.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that.
So I've been doing some form of hand-to-hand training martial arts for 42. I think I'm going into my 43rd year, actually, if I think about the numbers. Um, and I've pretty much at this point done everything, all whatever, Filipino, Indonesian, Japanese, tons of Chinese, all this stuff. What I spend most of my time on now is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, and wrestling, and figuring out how that works for self-defense without getting people hurt or killed.
Which is a perfect segue to your kind of flagship course, the course that you've come to be known for at TacCon. This block
Mm-hmm.
continues to be reprised because it's so popular. And this year, it's going to be on Sunday afternoon. It's called Just Enough Jitsu. I absolutely love the concept because it speaks perfectly to those folks who think that they are just physically unqualified to do jits. Tell us what that class is all about.
Yep. I think I'm teaching it twice, aren't I? I think I'm teaching it. I think I'm
Did,
teaching it. I think
did
I'm
I
teaching it.
repeat? Yep, you're
Yeah,
right.
I
So
think I'm
it's
teaching it twice.
it's Saturday morning and then again on Sunday afternoon. You're right.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a course. It's actually partly from the fiendish mind of William April, who was the one who really pushed me to do this kind of stuff. And my normal traveling roadshow coursework, I try to make for everybody. I try to keep it so that regardless of your background or capabilities, you can jump in and you can get something. But what William pointed out to me was, even that might be difficult for some people, not physically, but maybe they can't commit 2.5 days of training or whatever. And they still need something. You still can't just say, well, too bad, you're SOL. So kind of what he pushed me to do was the Just Enough Jits coursework, which his name, by the way. So I enjoy. It's another little thing I like, keeping the name going for that. But the whole idea is, what would be that minimal thing that people can get in an hour and 45, hour and 50 minutes that they can then practice a little bit on their own, but is still good, useful things if they find themselves attacked, if they find themselves assaulted and they're in a position that they don't want to be in. You've been knocked to the ground. Well, first of all, how do you survive not getting knocked out or hurt when you go to the ground? That's a pretty big thing, regardless of whether it's a criminal assault. It's also kind of nice and useful for when you're just walking around the world in general. I mean, at some point, I think we've pretty much all fallen
Mm-hmm.
down. Probably some of us fairly recently, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
So you have that kind of thing. How do you kind of instill that ability to not get hurt when that happens? When you are on the ground, how can you minimize any immediate damage from that other guy? How do you get back up to your feet? Because everybody says things like, well, if you're on the ground, just get back up. Well, that's not quite as easy.
Right.
That's just like saying, well, just shoot him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah. And we know, and all of us know how difficult something that sounds simple,
Mm-hmm.
we know how simple it is to shoot a piece of paper at 5 yards and how
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't always go our way. Well, it's sort of the same type of thing. We've got to get back up, but we've got to do it so that we don't get hurt more. We don't find ourselves in a worse position, and that we get ourselves in a place that we can fight back, and doing it in a way that, not all of us are 25-year-old professional athletes in their physical peak. I don't think that was ever me. So this kind of stuff is super important to me. So, kind of touching on all that kind of stuff, not getting into, it's not Fight Club. It's not, we're going to go beat each other up for, that block. It's just, here's some basic skills. And I don't teach it anywhere else but TacCon. This is sort of my, this is sort of my special thing for TacCon.
We're
Uh,
special.
yep, yep. Keep something carved out for this place. And I think it reaches a lot of the people who come to TacCon. I think a lot of the people at TacCon are new to everything, and I think it's a little bit better way to get them introduced to some of the things I do, as opposed to, hey, here's a helmet and let's go on the asphalt and let's fight.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have our fair share of hardcore jujitsu guys and
Sure.
gals at TacCon, but we
Yep.
also have plenty who either have never done jits at all or who may consider themselves too old, too fat, too short, too tall,
Yep.
too many replaced joints,
Yep.
too many
Yep.
sprains and strains.
Yep.
And would this be the kind of place that those folks could come and get a good introduction, good working foundation?
Yep, absolutely. I don't, there is, that isn't a factor, if you are injured or if you are old, that is something to take into consideration. The problem is the bad guy doesn't really care. So it's not like it's a get out of jail free card. It's like, oh, I was about to rob you and assault you, but I see that you're on crutches. So I will leave you alone and I will wait for some, 230-pound, 3% body fat guy to come around and I will fight with him. No, you are going to be more targeted if you're limping, if you are in those kind of conditions. So you still need to do it, but at the same time, I need to be able to introduce those people to something, give them a skill set that they can start working regardless of the situation. And then maybe it'll help them go, you know what, maybe I'll take that next step. And if they don't, at least they have something. At the very least, they've got something from this, even if they never train with me in any other deeper context.
I honestly think, if you're not going to get anything else from Cecil, go see him to learn how to fall.
Yep.
Because like you said, the even if you never get mugged in your life, first of all, lucky you, but secondly, we're all bound to fall at some point, and the difference can be night and day on just a little bit of physical technique on how to control your body on the way down.
Yep.
That can make a huge difference between you being a little bit embarrassed and you having a cracked skull. So
Yep.
I think it's invaluable training. So you get two shots at Just Enough Jits this year.
Yep.
The first one is Saturday morning at 8, and the second one is Sunday afternoon at 4. But wait, there's more, ladies and gentlemen, because if you still haven't had enough Cecil Burch, and it's totally understandable if that's the case, he's got two more classes on the schedule that he's co teaching with other colleagues. So, Cecil, if you want to give me just a quick sneak peek at these two on Friday, you've got two back to back. First is Dominating the Ground with Larry. And then
Mhm.
you've got Practical Muck with Chuck Haggard. So you want to give us a quick sneak peek at each of those?
Sure. The dominating the ground, the class with Larry, that's almost the opposite of Just Enough Jits. In the sense that that's a little bit more of a very specific dive. It's still not going to be Fight Club. It's still going to be technique. It's still going to be, hey, here's some ideas. You're on the ground, but now you're on top. You've either done what you should have from the beginning, or you've done something good. But how do you finish the fight? How do you make sure that you don't lose, that the bad guy's no longer going to be a threat? And so we'll go through some stuff. It is a little bit more specific. If somebody's never had jujitsu, you'll still be able to pick up stuff. Maybe it will be a little bit harder to grasp everything if you don't know jujitsu. Um,
A little
but
bit
it's,
more physical, this one.
yeah, a teeny bit, but again, we're not going to fight. It's more like, hey, you're on the ground with another guy, and hey, how do you finish that fight? How do you access a weapon? Just stuff like that. So it's a little more physical, but we're not going to kill anybody, especially since it's 8 o'clock Friday morning, and there's 3 days left for people to go through, and we don't want to tell people, hey, I'm just going to sit on the bench for the rest of the 2.5 days because Cecil and Larry killed me. Now, Larry might kill you, but I'm gonna do everything possible to rein him in and to make sure that he doesn't, go overboard.
Well, not even the next 2 days, but even just the next block. You got to save some folks for the for
Yep.
the next block because
Yep.
right after that you've got Practical Muck, and you're teaming up with Chuck Haggard for this
Yep.
one. What can folks expect?
So we're going to look at, Craig Douglas's idea on managing unknown contacts. We're going to use that as a template. We'll give guys not guys, everybody a general quick and down and dirty if they've never had managing unknown contacts, which you should because it's such awesome material. One of the best reasons to take Craig's ECQC or Edge Weapons overview class is just that deep dive on managing unknown contacts. But we're gonna, we'll give people a little bit of taste of that, let them work it a little bit, but then we'll look at what happens when it's not working, when you're not able to de-escalate, when you're not able to get yourself deselected from that assault and you have to do something. And we'll look at, well, when do you access OC spray? When should you go to a firearm and how you should do it? Like, do we care about distance? Do we care about what's going on? Or we just, hey, I'm just going to decide I'm going to get my gun into play. So we're going to take a look at that. And again, it's physical in the sense you're going to be having to move around with another person, but it's not a fight. You're not going to be going hands-on. It's just going to be that basic idea of how should this work,
Awesome. Nice practical application. I love it. Maybe a little bit of decision making, perhaps.
Yeah, some decision making and at the very least understanding that you are going to have to be making decisions and you kind of have to do the work beforehand because it's not going to come to you in the heat of the moment.
Don't I know it?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to go over your classes with us. And again, I'm sorry that I left you waiting there for a minute. I'm dragging these days, but I'm going to get some more
I'm used
energy.
to you to just treating me like garbage and
No,
always being mean to me. I know I'm the low man on the totem pole when it
you
comes
are
to tipping your
not.
attention.
No, so not true. You are absolutely just, I adore you, Cecil. Come on now. You know that. Come
I
on.
know that, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give up my whining.
And for those of you who may not know, Cecil is also an amazing dancer. So when you see him at TacCon, try and coax him into busting a move. You
Nope.
won't regret it.
Nope. 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 Nope.
I
Nope.
haven't
Nope.
given
Not
up.
gonna
I'm going
happen.
to get it on camera again. There is video evidence of Cecil's moves. Believe me,
Yeah,
it's
but in
pretty
10
impressive.
year in 10 years of TacCon, there's 10 seconds of me doing it. So
That's all right. It's worth
that's a
it.
probably where it's gonna stay too.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you in Dallas, my friend. I will
It'll
see you
be
there.
absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Alrighty.